Pagamile, thank you for joining us once again. In the last 30 minutes, you've been able to speak to the South African Police Services about the situation there in Alexandra. What have they told you?
So I had a chat with the spokesperson of the SAPS, and essentially he painted a broad picture of the situation in Johannesburg. So far, officers have arrested about 50 people for looting and violence-related incidents overnight. The areas which were most affected were the areas of Alexandra, obviously, as we know, as well as Thokoza and, of course, Town. Those were the hot spots that were the most active overnight. What we've also been updated on is that what happened with the foreign shop owners in Alexandra, officers have offered their services, where they've said if there is anybody who feels that they are not safe and perhaps they want to evacuate from the township and they want to remove their goods and remove their stock in safety, then the SAPS will assist them with that. And that process has been happening at certain stores in Alexandra and in surrounding areas in Gauteng. What we also know as well is that they have said that they have deployed officers all over the country. They're trying very hard to ensure that wherever there are flare-ups, they are able to respond as quickly as they can and to stop them from developing into more violence.
Now, we know, Parks, that the police are generally reluctant to discuss numbers. But from where you are on the ground in Alexandra, what does the police deployment look like? Do you get the sense of a beefed-up presence?
We have seen police vans patrolling the streets. I can't really give you a sense of numbers, but to me, it does not look as if it's not as heavy as I would have expected, bearing in mind what the situation was like in this area. I think the sense that the situation is that I think police are spread pretty thin. I think what's happening is they're trying to patrol as many areas as they can, but certainly where I am in Alexandra, whilst I have seen quite a few police patrols on the road, I certainly have not necessarily seen a beefed up stronger police presence, if I can put it that way. But as I've said to you, this is the information that we have received from police are saying that they are everywhere where they can be. What I've seen here, I've seen definitely more police patrols, but I would not necessarily say that there is a heavy police presence in Alexandra. That's not necessarily how I would put it. The other thing I must also point out is that there was some fears and incidents in Cleveland overnight last night, and this resulted in about 100 people taking shelter at the Cleveland police station. This would be about 100 foreigners were forced to sleep over at the Cleveland police station. What we understand from that is that many of them have since left, but it's not clear what the situation is, whether or not perhaps they've decided to leave the locations, or perhaps if they've moved on and have taken advantage of some of the shelters that have been opened up in some of the areas in and around Johannesburg.
Sure. And Parks, a situation like this is obviously fluid and very difficult to read. But what is the sense you're getting? Calm for the moment? Can we expect that calm to prevail in the coming hours, or are you hearing fears of further outbreaks?
I think the situation, particularly in Alex, will be calm. You know, even when we were in Town yesterday, Tulas, even though Town was extremely tense with the flare-ups between the hostile dwellers and the police, the situation overall in Town was very calm. The problem comes in at night, and this is what police essentially prepare themselves for. So during the day, there will be relative calm. People will go about their business. What happens is that at night, yes, there's looting, but there's also criminal elements that take advantage of the tensions and the fears and then capitalize on that. And that's when things go wrong. And so even with my discussions with the SAPS this morning, they've said that they're expecting flare-ups to take place more likely in the evening. They're expecting that during the day, things will be relatively calm.
Right, Pagamile Hlubi, eNCA reporter, keeping an eye on the situation there in Alexandra Township. Obviously, one of many locations that we are watching as we continue to monitor this tragic developments around the xenophobic violence.